Bournemouth 2, West Ham United 2. A game which was rather odd, to be quite honest with you. I tried to do a video with Wiggy as we came out the stadium, but it was pouring with rain. The camera was all skewed, couldn't see anything. I don't even know if we could hear anything. I haven't played it back, but sorry Wiggy, I had to redo the whole video again. Weird game, because we were not in it, and yet by half time we were 2-0 up. Callum Wilson grabbing a brace, and we'll talk about him in a little bit later on. But the lineup, we knew there was one enforced change with Lucas Paqueta being suspended, and Nuno went with Guilherme to replace Paqueta, but he made another change as well. Somerville was injured. We don't know if he got injured pre-game or during training this week, but Somerville was out. So Nuno decided to go with the third centre-back, and Igor got his first start for West Ham United. The first chance Igor had to kick the ball, he completely skewed it, and we thought, uh-oh. And he did it a couple of times throughout the game. He had some good moments, but overall, he really is a backup, and he should be a distant backup rather than, a replacement for anyone that we've got at this moment in time. Look, we've got a few problems in the squad, and I think it was found out today, not just players that we bought in recently, but some of our established players as well. But look, the lineup, Potts was fit, that was good. And we expected there to be changes. We expected there to be at least one change because of Paqueta, but with Somerville injured as well, Nuno had to make another change. So he went with three at the back with wing backs, and look, in the first half, I think we had something like 25% possession, and we weren't really in it. But like I said, we went 2-0 up. We took our chances, and that was good to see. Even though we didn't have an awful lot of the ball, at least we had opportunities, and the chances that we took. I mean, the first one, all we had to do in the weather conditions, it was just been pouring down with rain all day, by the way. And these weather conditions, is shoot at the keeper and see what happens. And the first shots, the keeper skewed it, and Wilson was there, as a striker should be, in order to pick up the pieces. And the second goal, he really did well. By the way, I was in the loo for the first one, so there you go, I missed that. The second goal, I think it was well crafted by Wilson. The way he, hooked the ball into the net was a typical striker's poach, and that was really, really good. So at half-time, going in at 2-0 up, it looked good. We weren't in the game. We didn't have a lot of the game, but we contained Bournemouth, and we didn't look out of place. But in the second half, we knew it was going to be completely different, and indeed it was. Bournemouth came at us. They were relentless. They play really, really good football, Bournemouth. You've got to be honest. I think they'll be walking away from this game feeling rather unlucky that they didn't get all 3 points, because they really, really came at us. Now, you could argue that they came at us because we let them, and we did. I mean, we started to panic in the second half. Every time we tried to pass the ball, it didn't go anywhere near any of our players. We were hooking it away. We were panicking. We just kept giving the ball back to them again and again. And we were dropping deeper and deeper and deeper. Look, one half-time change, Guilherme came off, Carl Walker-Peters came on. So we had yet another defender, but Walker-Peters was playing in a sort of left-side attacking role. But that, I don't know if that was an enforced change or not. I don't know if Guilherme picked up a knock. He did get a couple of boots a couple of times. He was down quite a bit in the first half. So maybe that was because he got booted around. Maybe he picked up an injury there. But then the strange substitution is 4 minutes into the second half. Nuno decided to bring Callum Wilson off and put Souček on. Look, I know it's worked before, but it felt too early in the game. Give him another 15 minutes, maybe 15 or 20 minutes, rather than giving him only 5. And the only thing I can imagine is maybe Wilson picked up a knock, and they must have said, look, let's see how it goes in the first few minutes of the second half. If you're okay, you'll play on. If not, then we'll take you off. But Nuno and Wilson did talk quite a bit. I mean, they shook hands, etc. when Wilson came off. but I can only assume, now I haven't seen any post-match reviews or anything, I can only assume that maybe Wilson picked up a knock and that's why he was taken off as earlier than we thought. Now, it says an awful lot that Nuno didn't replace Wilson with Fulkrug. He brought Souček on instead. And I'm going to talk about Fulkrug a little bit in a minute as well. So we started to be under the cosh. We had no outlet up front, and that sort of like helped Bournemouth to progress even further and further up front. They had even more of the ball because every time we got it and moved and booted it away, it just went straight back to them because we didn't have anyone like Wilson up front. So they got a goal back, a penalty. It was a penalty. Apparently Kilman slid, the ball went behind him, and the only way he was going to get at it was by hooking it with his hands. I'm using the word hook an awful lot today. And it was a penalty. There's nothing you can say. It was really, really, really poor defending by Maximilian Kilman yet again. So 2-1 gave them the momentum. Not that they needed it, but at 2-1 they just had all the play. They were relentless. They came back at us time and time and time again, and you just felt that it was going to be sooner rather than later that they were going to get their second. And lo and behold, they got their second goal. And then Nuno decided that he wanted to bring a strike force up again, have an outlet. He needn't have bothered, to be quite honest with you, because Nicholas Fulkrug came on and was extremely poor. If we get even an offer of 10 or 15 million pound for him in January, take it. It didn't look like he wanted to be there. It took him at least 5 or 6 minutes before he even touched the ball, and one of the touches gave it straight back at Bournemouth, and they were in on goal again. And it was like, why even have him on there? He was poor, really, really poor, Nicholas Fulkrug. He looked like a player completely out of sorts. I know he's been off, because of injury, etc. But in all honesty, he can't even offer us 10, 15 minutes. He was really, really poor. And it felt like it wasn't working. And the bigger problem was that Nuno took Fernandes off for Wilson. I thought maybe he'd take a defender off, maybe take Igor off and then go 4 at the back or whatever. But he took Fernandes off, and we just lost our midfield after that. You could see Freddie Potts trying his best, but Freddie Potts, trying to urge the players to go forward, but everyone was just dropping deep. And we've seen this before under David Moyes. Whenever we drop deep and don't have an outlet, we're gonna get, we're going to have attack upon us, and that's exactly what happened. And I've got to be really, really honest, Bournemouth deserved their second goal. Bournemouth deserved to get something out of the game. If I'm brutally honest, they probably should have won the game. But we held on. Look, not many teams are going to come to Bournemouth and get points. It's a tough place to play. They play really, really good football. I wish I could say that we played really good football today, but we just looked like we were in panic stations. And bringing Souček on, he gave the ball away an awful lot. Our defenders kept giving the ball away. The number of times that Kilman was booting the ball up to nowhere, into space, but there was no one in that space. We come away with a point. Should I be satisfied? The irony is, if we'd played really well and got a 2-2 draw, everyone would have said fantastic result. But because we were 2-0 up, and because we should have shut up shop and looked to nick a third, I think it felt like it felt like a defeat. But in all honesty, Bournemouth deserved what they got, and maybe they deserve more. But for me, coming away from Bournemouth with a point, let's take a positive, and the positive is just that. The other positive is that we'll have the midfield back with Paqueta, Potts and Fernandes next weekend. We've only got Liverpool, so no big deal there. But we looked a little bit disjointed. If Nuno took Wilson off because it was tactical, that was a massive error. If he took Wilson off after 4 or 5 minutes in the second half because Wilson had a knock, then fair enough, he had no choice. I've got to mention Guilherme. He tried, but he was a little bit lightweight. I think he had a stab, didn't he, to demonstrate what he could do. I'm not so sure. There's a number of question marks with a number of players. Max Kilman, I've got to hats off to Todibo, because he was played on the left side of a 3-man defence, and he played well. Again, he seemed to be all right. But Max Kilman, he's poor. He's not a £40 million footballer. I'm beginning to wonder whether he's even a Premier League defender. Igor, I'm sorry, but now we know why Brighton were happy to let it go. Fulkrug, I'm sorry, but Callum Wilson, even with his knocks, etc., demonstrated what a striker should be all about in the Premier League. And Nicholas Fulkrug, injury or no injury, I know he's only just come back from injury, but he was poor as well. Jared Bowen tried his hardest as usual. Their goal, I love Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I love what Aaron Wan-Bissaka offers, but one thing that he tends to do a lot is he backs off his players too much, and it gives the players an opportunity to get into the box, to get in a cross, etc. And I just wish that Aaron Wan-Bissaka was a little bit more disciplined, but you know, his endeavour was good. I think Freddie Potts again and Fernandes, I was actually surprised that Fernandes was taken off, but Freddie Potts played his part, Fernandes played his part. I think Fernandes is really growing into this team. But we've got a lot of pockets in the squad that are just not good enough. And we need, you know, I really hope Nuno has identified at the very least, one centre-back and a striker. Whether we get them on loan or whether we get them on a permanent, I don't know. My gut is that we're going to get players on a loan to buy with an option or an obligation to buy. I think that's our best route for the January window. But we really, really need a couple of more bodies that can give us that strength in depth. Because whenever any of our first 11 are out, just like Somerville today, Paqueta, etc., I think we're a little bit wanting. We're a little bit lacking in quality. So I hope that we go out and get ourselves a centre-back and a striker. And to be quite honest with you, Dinos, it was a little bit too early for him this game. I hope he comes back, because the team, the centre-backs I want to see moving forward are Dinos and Todibo. I want Max Kilman dropped, I'm afraid to say. I just don't think he's good enough. I just think his lapse of concentration really doesn't help, and I don't think Igor's the answer either. So let's see. Look, having said all this, 2-2 at Bournemouth. We'll take the point. We've won 2 and drawn 1 in the last 3 games. You know, 7 points. I think we're out of the bottom 3 now because Burnley lost. I know we've got Liverpool next weekend, but we'll worry about that nearer the time. So let's look at the positives. We've got a point, so that's fantastic. I'll call out to everybody that said hello to me today. Thank you for all your best wishes. Really, really appreciate that. I'm really touched by everyone who knows my situation, my condition, and people coming up and wishing me really well. You know, congratulations on, you know, getting rid of cancer, etc. I really respect that. Thank you. Now, if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel, or at the very least hit the like button. And also there's a hype button below the video. Please hit the hype button, because that allows you to promote the video for me for other people to watch. I'll see you all again. I'll do a reflection show on Sunday, but in the meantime, a point at Bournemouth, fair enough.